Hello, and welcome back to the Handy Outdoorsman. Today, we're back up at the property, and we're going to be working on the doors, the shed here. I'm not going to call it a tent anymore, I'll call it the shed. But yeah, so today we're going to do the doors. And like I said, I had a couple of designs. I ended up going with putting pressure-treated boards and making those into doors versus some of the other ones that I was going to do. I just didn't care for the look, how some of them were going to turn out, and so it's kind of going for a barn look here. So that's why I did that. First thing I want to do though is I want to replace these two boards on the end. Right now they're 2x4s. I want to replace them with 2x6s pressure treated. All right, so let me get that started, get that done, and then I'll bring you back when I'm starting to make the doors. So the hardware we're using, there's a strap hinge and a screw hook. Now this screw hook goes into the 2x6 board, and it's got a pin on it that the hinge will ride on itself. And then all you need to do is just take this and then screw it into your lumber. My particular case, I replaced the 2x4s that were here with 2x6s to give it a little bit more strength, but pretty easy to install. All right, I've got the bolt in that's going to hold the hinge, and I have the hinge on. As you can see here, there's a slight angle at it. So this was the first one I did. The next ones I kind of put at a slight angle this way so that it would level out the hinge. So that's what I did over here, and as you can see, the hinge sits much straighter because it's at a slight angle to kind of bring it up. But I've got the 4 hinges in, and then now I'm just going to take my 2x6 and run it across the bottom, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Alright, let me show you where we're at right now. So I've got the bottom 2x6 bolted in, and it's perfectly level. Now I'm doing the top. So I've taken two 2x4s, and then I've kind of wedged them in there, and that's holding up my top 2x6. And then what I wanted to do was make sure I come in here and that that board is perfectly level. And the reason is I know that the board is level, but it's not connected to the hinge. This hinge has a lot of play in it. And so if you put the hinge on here and just let it fall with its weight where it wants to fall based upon the slack, then when you go to make your door, and if it's in this position, then it's going to remain straight and level based upon the board. But the hinge is going to fall where it wants to, and this is where it is. So that's the concept behind that. So I've got these in, and now I just need to bolt those on, and then we're ready for some 1x6s. But that's where we're at right now. So the boards that I'll be using to actually make the door out of is 1x6 pressure treated lumber. I wanted to get tongue and groove, but there's a shortage because of the pandemic of treated lumber. So I had to make my own. So I cut a groove into the board itself and then made my own splines, and then that'll just snap into there like that. So not hard to do, a little time consuming, but not difficult. So that's what I'll be doing here, is putting the boards on. Now what I've done is I've drawn a center line that's center of the building itself, as well as the center of this span. And I'll just be filling in the gap, and then once all the boards are in, then we'll just come back and we'll cut right on that center line, and the doors will be able to swing open. Now I'm going to be doing this on the inside I'll have to take out 2 boards in order for me to squeeze back out to get out, to make that cut, but not a biggie. If you've got a back door or a side door into a building, you can do it all on the inside and don't have to do that step. But I don't. This will be my only way in and out. All right, let me get a couple of boards laid out and put on, and I'll show you. Also, I'm putting in a 3/4 inch board on the bottom to give me the gap, so when it swings out on the concrete here, if there's any uneven spaces, it'll match. And then here, I've got a 1/4 inch gap to allow for expansion. So I've got all the boards on that I can put on. I've got 2 left on this side, but I can't be inside and then cut them off because my saw blade was not thick enough to go through the 1x plus the 2x to cut all the way through if I was to try and do it on the inside. So I'm going to leave those off, and then but go ahead and cut this so that the doors swing. And I still have a bracing to put in, but I'm going to do that once I get the doors cut. And then, yeah, then that's pretty much it other than hardware. All right, so let me go ahead and cut this, and then we'll swing the door and see how she does. All right, so I went ahead and did a couple of things. I put some bracing on the outside here just to give it some more rigidity, give it a little style as well. And then on the inside here, I put pieces of the 1x6 that I had left over. And what this is going to do is allow me to close the door, and then the top's got something to hit against. All right, so we need to put some hardware on and secure it down here at the base. So that'll be the next step. I've got the hardware on there, or I should say the locking hardware. And so on this side, it latches at the bottom and the top. Now I forgot the hinge that goes at the top, but there's going to be one. And then on this side, I've got 2 latches. One goes in the concrete, one goes into the header, and that's going to lock that door really well. And then with these hinges, once they're in the locking position, I can actually run a lock through here so that nobody can open this up and down. I'll show you that in a second. But the doors themselves, they swing true. I did put hardware on the inside. This is what's going to lock this side of the door. And I put one on this side just so that it can go into the dirt and keep the door from swinging when I have them open. If I'm working in here, need additional light, I just flop those down. They're in the dirt, they're not going to move. But yeah, overall, pretty pleased with the results. That's it. Let me show you these hinges. I'm going to try and do this one-handed, but this bolt goes up into the header. Once it's in there, then I can take a lock and run it through here, and then nobody can pull this down. And it's the same thing down at the bottom. Same concept. So that's how I plan on locking these doors. So here we are, guys. The shed is done. A Shelterlogic 10 by 20 by 8 auto shelter with metal siding. Now, you could use this as an off-grid cabin. You could call this an off-grid pole barn. It really, you'll have to look and see what your needs are and see how this could possibly meet something that a need that you have on your property. I'm really glad I did it. It definitely is a much better structure than just having a canvas on it. So in my last video I talked about cost and that I would go over that in this video. So here's a timestamp of when I begin sharing on how much this project cost me. And for those of you that are interested in why I did what I did, stick around and I'll go into detail explaining why I did not put another canvas cover on this. When I decided to go down the path of replacing my existing cover, I came out to the Shelterlogic webpage to see if they sold replacement covers, and sure enough, they do. So I was able to find my particular model, which is the auto shelter with the peak, but they have several other ones that you could choose from. Hopefully, if you're looking for a replacement cover, it's out here. But on my particular model, I have a 10 by 20 by 8 auto shelter, and that replacement cover is $180. And I thought, I really don't want to keep replacing this every 3 years, and that's what I got out of this, was exactly 3 years. So I called Shelterlogic to find out what my options were regarding something that was a little bit more sturdy and what was the price comparison on those. And so they referred me over to their product overview for my particular model. And I'm going to say that they have a good, better, and best. I had a good cover that was 5.5 ounces, and I apologize, I did not ask what the ounces were they per square foot, per square inch. I didn't ask that question. I was just regarding thickness of it. But the 5.5 has a 1-year warranty, and it's supposed to last 1 to 3 years, and I got exactly 3 years out of it. The 14.5 cover has a 10-year warranty, and it's supposed to last 10 to 12 years. And that's their better cover. Their best cover is a 21.5 ounces, and that's 4 times better than what I currently have. And that's got a 15-year warranty with a life expectancy of 15 to 18 years. So I thought, okay, so let me go ahead and look at their best cover, and let me see what that's going to cost for me to put in something that's 4 times better than what I got now. And that price tag came out to be $800. So I started thinking about this, and I thought, $800, that's a little bit pricey for something that doesn't have the security that I would really like to have, since I'm storing my tractor and a few other things in there, as well as this is 4 times thicker, but can it handle the snow loads that we get in here, or that we get here in Michigan? So I decided to go out and look at metal enclosures and see what they would cost. Are they up there at the $800 price range? And I went out to several of the box stores, as well as a couple of other companies that are online. And the best price that I could find was actually at Menards for just a little over $1,400. And this did not include a door on the structure itself. It was strictly a metal enclosure. And so, I'm looking at this thinking I've got to put doors or something on this to get the security that I want. But the sides are, would be secure, as well as the top to provide the snow load.
And as I looked at this, I kind of got the idea that, you know, this is metal siding wrapped around a frame. And then I started looking at what I have, and that's exactly what I have, is just a frame. I need to see if I can put metal siding around the frame that I have. So I put a bill of materials together to include some framing to give the metal framing more structural integrity to hold the snow load. And that framing cost me $130. And then putting on the metal siding, the screws, and then the foam backing, which is the foam that actually matches the curvature of the metal siding itself, was $550. And then when I put on the doors, which included the locks, the hinges, and the lumber, that was an additional $216. So for $896, I was able to complete this project, which was only $96 more than getting Shelterlogic's best cover. Now, I'm not trying to do any bad publicity on Shelterlogic. I was very impressed with their customer service. I called them. I had some questions. They were very helpful on the phone. I sent several emails as a follow-up. They answered every one of those. And that's what kind of led me down the direction that I ended up going regarding a permanent structure. But as far as the product that they sell, you know, they said I would get 1 to 3 years, and I got 3 years. So their product is good, and I'm not trying to, again, put any bad publicity their way. I just happen to make modifications to their existing frame. So with that said, you know, I'm pretty pleased with the overall results. I've got a more secure structure and something that can handle the snow that we get. And it's very, to me, it's aesthetically pleasing. I like how it turned out. I thought it looks pretty good. So I enjoyed bringing this video to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you have any comments regarding something that I did regarding this build, or any comments on, you know, what I should be doing next inside, you know, maybe lights and or something else as far as organization goes, you know, leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer those. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed bringing it to you. So until the next one, take care and God bless.